All righty, folks. Our top 20 starting pitchers here for ESB's 2026 player rankings. And, added an extra caveat to this, Corey Favs. It's been like the caveat of caveats this year because usually the fellas already know what the deal is. We lost Keefe. I don't know what happened to Keefe. Oh, here's Keefe. Usually the fellas know in advance what the lists are. They know of all the lists that we already have. They're already pre-generated. Nothing's going to change them outside of something crazy happening, I guess, before we do our next episode. But these guys right here, Keith, Tom, Joe, have no freaking clue what the top 20 is. So we're going to get that live reaction. So Corey Favs, why don't you kick us off with our top 20? And actually, before you do that, I want to take a look back at 2025. Now look at 2025 when we just did our top 10. And this was our top 10 from last year. Garrett Crochet, Blake Snell. Garrett Cole got the benefit of the doubt that he was going to pitch in that season. We did this right before Garrett Cole's injury-plagued season. Of course, we're going to see him middle of the year. He made it the number 8 spot. Logan Gilbert, Framber Valdez, now with the Tigers. Chris Sale won a Cy Young back in 2024. Paul Skeens, Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler. Tough 2025s for those two pitchers. And Tarek Skubal at the top of Corey Favs. Let's kick off 2026 with our first 3 reveals.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And we're going to start off number 20 here with the guy that some people had really high on the rankings and some people did not have at all on the rankings. So a lot of being all over the map, but it's an interesting player. Listen, for number 20 overall, you're going with a 2-time Cy Young Award winner in Blake Snell. And he was the ERA leader, those 2 Cy Young years. The biggest thing with Snell is he's only pitched 31 starts over the last 2 years. So, when Snell's out there on the mound, he's a very good pitcher. And now that he's away from the Rays, you would think, all right, maybe he's got a chance to go a little deeper into games. But the question is now, is he going to be able to stay in the game? Is he going to be able to get into the game? So it's an interesting player there, intriguing option number 20. Again, he was 9th on our top 10 list last year, so down 11. Number 2 is a debut to our top list. That's Ranger Suarez. Also a debut to a new team this offseason, heading over to Boston. So swapped over from one of our big rivals to one of yours with the Yankees. The thing with Suarez, interesting pitcher. He reminds me of an early 2000s type pitcher where he doesn't have the big stuff. It's not like he's pumping 99 on the fastball. He's hovering around 91, 92, 93. Pitching to contact, really great control. How is that going to translate to Fenway Park? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how it'll play out there, but time will tell. And Framber Valdez, there was a chance this guy might have not even had a team when we debuted these rankings. But again, he signed over with Detroit last week. He was 6th overall on our list last year, down 12. The thing with Valdez, you want to talk about giving you consistent quality. He's number 3 in quality starts since the 2021 season, just behind Zach Wheeler and Mr. Webb, who we might see a little later. But the biggest thing with Valdez too, obviously there's a little personality concerns. He had that whole incident last year. And is he starting to trend down? He's a little older, had his highest ERA last year since his rookie campaign. So what Valdez are you going to get? You're going to get the sub-3 ERA with a bunch of quality starts, or are you going to get a head case with the ERA trending a bit higher as he trends a little bit upwards in age? So time will tell, but Framber Valdez down from number 6 overall to 18 this year.
All right, let's get to the rest of the room that's seeing this list for the first time, at least the first 3 here from 20 to 18. We'll start with Joe. Are you surprised with any entries here early into the list?
I guess Snell a little bit. I didn't have Snell in my rankings, and mainly because of the limited amount that he pitches each year. Yes, we know that when he pitches, he's very good, but he started 11 games last year, 20 games the year before. The occasional time that he does pitch 30 games in a season, he tends to win the Cy Young. But the problem is when he doesn't pitch 30 games, he usually doesn't pitch more than 25 or 24 or 23 games, and sometimes even less than that. So for me, when I'm ranking my top pitchers, I want my pitchers to pitch when as many games as humanly possible. So that's why I don't have him in my top. Framber, I don't really have an objection for. I had him a little lower. But at the same time, a little higher or whatever you want to say. I had him, I think, at like 22 or 23 on my list. Ranger Suarez is another one. You know, he tends to miss a couple starts per year. He always seems to fade in the second half. He's a good pitcher. I don't know if he's a great pitcher. I don't know if he's a top 20 pitcher in my mind. So that would be my two problems were Snell and mainly Snell, because I don't think you have any way of knowing if he's going to give you anywhere close to 30 starts.
I'll add on to that.
Yeah,
Blake Snell, not for me. He's not for me. He doesn't go deep into games. He walks a lot of guys. Yeah, he strikes out guys, and I know he's had years with sparkling ERAs. He's won 2 Cy Youngs. Beyond of what Joe said, I want my pitchers pitching. You know, you want them starting. I want my guys throwing innings, and Blake Snell doesn't throw you innings.
It's a 5-inning pitcher.
Yeah, and that's it's not for me. I when I was looking at my rankings, I did bump guys who take the ball and can give you 6, 7, and occasionally 8 innings. And I just don't think what Blake Snell provides. I know it's valuable in baseball in 2026. It's just I don't like it. So I had him 21st on my list.
Keith, on SNS earlier, you showed some love to Framber Valdez, had him as one of your honorable mentions. Any notes on Valdez or any of the other 2 pitchers?
Dropped 12 spots. I don't know what happened there. That to me screams, oh, he doesn't have a team. He must suck. So someone just let that kind of sink into their mindset. He is probably top 15. So I'm not going to make a big stink over that. He probably could be declining, sure. But his numbers last year, I mean, he was still good enough. Like, I think he's a solid number 2.
I had him exactly 18 on my list. So
that's not bad. I had him 11th, but I'm not going to make a big poo-poo. Mm-hmm. I just think the closer he is to Blake Snell annoys me because Ranger Suarez, that's fine. I'm not gonna make a big deal out of that. Ranger Suarez, he's a pretty okay pitcher, but I'm be honest with you, I'm with Tom. Fuck Blake Snell. Honestly, he gets paid too much money to be a per diem pitcher, and I mean when he pitches, yeah, he's great, but you never know when you're gonna get that. He's gonna start the year hurt. I'm hearing he sucked in the World Series, so I'm be honest with you. Now for me, I didn't rank him at all. And I think Joe said the same. So listen, I just something about pitchers being available, and you hear like GMs, like both of our general managers or president of baseball operations, always talk about availability and depth. You got a guy like that. Like the Dodgers probably do enjoy when he pitches, but guys like him and Glasnow and stuff, if they weren't like per diem pitchers, the Dodgers would have just ran through the league. And
we got to know then between Rich and Corey who ranked Snell so high, because Joe, we had him off the list. I had him off of the top 20. So that him to get up there, someone has a
we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Love.
We'll get to it because we do have the overall rankings, which we're going to look at, which is another new thing that we're adding on to our player rankings. We're also going to be looking at our individual rankings after we reveal our number 1 in the overall list. But let's get into the next 3 pitchers here. We're going to kick things off at the number 17 position, and it's a New York Yankee. It's Carlos Rodon making his debut in our top list here, at least in his Yankee tenure. I don't remember if we had him on when he was a Giant following his great second half his great season he had in San Francisco. But Carlos Rodon is featured on our list at number 17. Also, another couple of pitchers not featured in last year's list. Remember, we were also doing top 10, so we were in a top 20 right now. Dylan Cease, who's coming off his, I believe now, 5th consecutive season of 200-plus strikeouts. Yes, the ERA is high, 4.55 he's coming off of, but he looks to frontline the Toronto Blue Jays starting rotation in a big way headed into 2026. And Hunter Green also making his debut in our top 10 or sorry, now top 20 list. Coming off
the same thing.
What was that?
I think Keith and I are making noises about the same
thing. Bro, put us on camera.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think Keith and I are.
What is with the Dylan C shit, guys?
Oh, that's not what I was saying. Okay.
I'm looking at Corey's face says it all.
Okay, all right. I have to. I'm not a Carlos Rodon fan, but let's be honest. Come on, guys. Like,
I'm not here to pitch for the first 2 months of the season.
I can't do the pom-poms for Carlos Rodon, but Dylan Cease is not better than Carlos Rodon. Hunter Green has some of the amazing stuff. You'll never see it though, because he's not on the fucking mound enough. What an incredible talent. At least Rodon pitched to New York and was there and got better, regardless of what you think of the fucking guy. Dylan Cease got ridiculously overpaid. Yeah. He fucking sucks. I'm sorry. And Framber Valdez does more than all three of these fucks. This is crazy. I'm sorry. I love Hunter Green. I think Hunter Green is a fucking beast, but this is insane. I should be out of these guys.
I had Hunter Green a lot higher. I had Hunter Green a lot higher on my list.
Why?
Because part of what we're doing, at least that way I approach the list, is we're projecting for the year. And yeah, he's had some injury issues. I just think he's too talented. And I think he's a guy that if he was healthy, he's a top 10
But
pitcher.
Tom, they're all talented, Tom. Every single one of these guys is
obviously
talented,
they're all
Tom.
talented, but I think Hunter Green has a talent level above other guys. Speaking of Rodon, just real quick, I didn't rank him because he's gonna miss probably 2 months.
You didn't rank Rodon, and you have that hat on. You have that. Take the hat off.
I actually don't have Rodon. I don't have Rodon in my top.
He's not gonna pitch.
I did not have him in my top 20 either.
Back in May, which means he'll be back
exactly where he is.
Yeah.
Okay, hold
ironically,
on.
Mets fans, the ones who had Rodon in it.
Yep.
First of all, fuck the chat. By the way, fuck the chat. Okay, they're not understanding a fucking word I'm saying. Because Hunter Green is a stud, but the 15th best pitcher in baseball.
Oh, sorry.
What the fuck are we doing?
Listen,
sorry.
I have to admit, I omitted Hunter Green from my list, and I shouldn't have. He should have been on the list, and I would have had him around.
Why'd you omit him? I bet you it's the same reason why I did.
Because when you're doing these rankings and you're running through the league leaders and you're running through all this stuff, when you get injured and you're not on those lists, sometimes you get omitted because you don't realize that the guy is not there. And my problem with Cease is he can have all the strikeout numbers he wants. He can have the K per 9 he wants. Great pitchers do not have 4.8 ERAs. Great pitchers don't do that. Great pitchers have 3.5 or lower ERAs. And I cannot rank Cease. I think I had Cease 24th on my list because I do think the talent is there. But at the same time, I'm done waiting for it. And 4.8, you don't have an excuse anymore. 4, you have a little bit of an excuse on the down year. 4.8, there's no excuse. Great pitchers don't have 4.8 ERAs.
Yeah.
They said they're making fun of the routers, Dollar General router.
This isn't, again, this was not a Rich Rivera issue. This wasn't anything else but a StreamYard issue. Clearly, everybody got knocked, so it wasn't just me.
God.
That's what happens when you watch Dylan Cease too long, right?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I just want to point out, Clay Holmes was better than fucking Dylan Cease last year. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm not even a Rodon fan, and this is crazy.
Let's get into the number 14 to 12. Corey Favs, back to you. What do we got next on this crazy-ass list?
Yeah, looking up next on the list, another guy who was on our top 10 last year. Fell down a little bit, fell off a little bit numbers-wise last year, but, obviously still a good pitcher. Potential's there. That's Logan Gilbert, dropping down to number 14th overall. Right ahead of him, and this guy, it felt like he was going to be a Met. His name was in Mets talks since the trade deadline last year. A lot of trade rumors this year at the start of the offseason. But that's Joe Ryan. He was unranked for us in the top 10 last year, but a good pitcher. Finds himself in our top list for the first time at 13th overall. And Chris Sale, interesting option there. Prior number 5, down 7 slots to number 12. Interesting thing with Sale, again, obviously had the absolutely phenomenal 2024. Last year was interesting. He started off a little bit slow and then came on strong in the second half to kind of rebound his numbers a little bit. So we'll see what happens with Sale. Again, are you going to get the Cy Young version of him? Is he going to start to finally completely fall off like, the start of last year? Or you get somewhere in the middle? Ultimately, time will tell, but he is our number 12 pitcher for this season.
These drops are incredible.
So there's an interesting thing because I'm starting to do the math in my head, and we're going to have some interesting conversations leading into the top 10. Here's my thing, right? I had Sale at 10, and I think Sale is one of the most difficult pitchers to judge because we all agree that when he is on the mound, he is a Cy Young Award winner. right?
Correct.
Like that,
Correct.
like when he is
Sure.
healthy and he starts 30 games, he's without a doubt top 5 pitcher. He might even be the top 3 pitcher in the sport when he's healthy. The question comes with that health, and last year wasn't an arm issue. It was him diving for a ball stupidly against the Mets. Why he did that, I have no idea. So
The problem is he's only been like healthy once in the last like 6 years.
Again, true, but the one time he was healthy, he won a Cy Young.
Sure.
Right.
So
I had him at 12.
he's difficult ranked, and I don't necessarily blame anybody for not having him in the top 10. I had him at number 10. Actually, Joe Ryan's a bit higher than I thought. I love me some Joe Ryan, my name, but he was higher than I thought, and I had Logan Gilman almost the same exact spot. But Sale is the interesting one because I did have him in my top 10.
Keith, let's hear it. I know you got some thoughts.
Joe Ryan, I think a little too high. I like Joe Ryan too a lot. I think Chris Sale's a weird enigma.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe's right when he's pitching. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball, but it's like when he's pitching, it's like the Gucci bag version of Blake Snell. Logan Gilbert, I think, took a step back, so I'm not, too upset with the I guess the lower end ranking. Maybe a little too low. I didn't rank him because of the injuries, and I feel like when pitchers get hurt, I get really gun shy when guys get hurt because pitchers are made of paper nowadays, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know how they'll bounce back. Logan Gilbert has always been touted to be one of the best pitchers in the American League, right? And I feel like he's always on the cusp of it, but I haven't seen the leap, right? The super, that jump to elite status, like really good, but I haven't seen that jump yet. I wish him all the best. I am actually a fan of his. I'm not gonna be too gung ho over these three, though. To be fair, my rankings, guys who got hurt, I wasn't too kind of. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If they were hurt, I just couldn't rank them. Mm-hmm. Joe Ryan, I actually had him a little lower than that, and I'm a huge fan of Joe Ryan. So I'm kind of surprised he got this much love, to be honest with you.
I had Logan Gilbert a lot higher than I guess everyone else did. I know he had some injury issue last year.
He certainly did.
But the year before he was one of the best pitchers in the AL. I think he could get back to that. So I had him a lot higher. I'll be honest.
I just want to point out, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but Rodon was better than all these guys last year.
Well, yeah, but
I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not even a Rodon fan. I'm just saying.
Also, I mean, Keith, I guess depends how you look at it. Are you ranking guys based on how they did last year or how they will do this year? Just honest question.
I don't want to do how they will do because then this turns into fantasy baseball, right? I want to do what they've done and how they're projected to keep going. That's why guys who got hurt, I had a tough time doing that because I can't predict health, right?
Is hurt. Rodon is
but we're not playing baseball now, though. Like Rodon was really fucking good for you guys last year.
If Rodon was healthy right now, I'd have him probably.
But hear me out, Tom.
The 10 number. I didn't rank.
But hear me out, Tom. But hear me out, Tom. Has he not gone better as a Yankee? Yeah, he's on an upward trajectory, right? Okay, sucks that he got hurt now, but guys who took a step back are ranked higher than him.
Well, I'll put to you this way, Keith. Have you seen Rodon's numbers when he starts the year with an injury? They're not pretty.
No, I know. And look, I'm pretty sure that's probably what's going to happen. I'm not here to. I'm not shaking the Rodon pom poms, but I love Hunter Green. I think Hunter Green is fucking awesome. He didn't do enough to warrant to be there, right? Logan Gilbert can be probably the best pitcher in baseball, hasn't done enough, took a step back last year. And I got to give a guy, maybe I'm biased to like where we play. Rodon took a little bit of a leap forward in New York, in a place where people were fucking getting on his ass and he was blowing kisses, and he was able to put that behind him and kind of take a little bit of a leap forward. It's not a major leap. I'm not saying he's the best, but I got to take into account Garrett Cole is not there, right? So Max Fried stepped up, and then Carlos Rodon stepped up. And to be honest with you, that was a big deal for the Yankees because the Yankees, they needed Garrett Cole, and these guys stepped up. So that's where I was talking about with my list. Guys who stepped up, took opportunities, and ran with them, instead of guys who took a step back are ranked ahead of like was Logan Gilbert that much better than Framber Valdez last year? Was he? Can anybody honestly say that? or is it just because his name is Logan Gilbert and the other guy's name is Framber Valdez? And when they were making this list, Framber Valdez wasn't pitching for nobody.
Well, I mean, they're separated by
I think
three
I think there's
spots.
just different ways. I think there's just different ways people looked at these lists, honestly, and I think Logan Gilbert has a higher ceiling than Framber. I agree with that. I agree with that. I like Framber. I agree with that. I'm a Framber guy. I do like him,
and I think that's the beauty of the player rankings, and we say it every single year. Like everybody has their different style of voting and how they factor in their stuff. So we're just taking the cumulative now, the consensus vote into our list here. So I think it really makes for a pretty accurate top 20 list if you're going to ask me, but I'm biased a little bit here. A lot of folks right now, before we get into our next three, are asking, where is Seth Lugo? Where the hell is Seth Lugo?
We still got a lot more to go.
Seth Lugo did not make this top 20 list. I don't know if he made a top 40.
Did he even get a vote from a single?
I don't think he got a single vote.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
So there's no Seth Lugo featured in this part of the list, but let's move forward here to our next three. It's 11 and 9, so we're gonna crack the top 10 real soon here, and this is where it's gonna get good. Number 11 is the New York Mets, Freddie Peralta. He just misses the top 10 here. Freddie, of course, making his Mets season debut soon after a trade recently from the Brewers to the Mets. Brewers been active of late too. We mentioned the Caleb Durbin trade earlier today. His feature, this is a first for Freddie Peralta to make our top 10 list. Another first, Brian Wu entering the top 10. And this is some good territory for many years. We were looking at the Seattle Mariners rotation, like, how are you going to stop guys like Logan Gilbert, who we just mentioned, and George Kirby and Luis Castillo and Bryce Miller? Here's this Brian Wu guy, comes out of nowhere, puts up the monster year he does in 2025. So a lot of good things to see on Brian Wu moving forward. And the number 9 spot is a favorite here for half the fan base. Although he's no longer part of the New York Mets, Jacob deGrom, though, cracking the top 10 list, which I believe is the first time since we debuted the starting pitchers top 10 rankings 4 years ago. Jacob deGrom in the number 9 spot. I know, Joe, that makes you happy to see Jacob crack the top 10.
Yeah, and listen, this was one of the tougher rankings that I had, was deciding where deGrom went, because I think a lot of what we talked about is correct, with a lot of what we talked about with Sale and the injuries and all that. deGrom last year pitched 172 innings. It's the first time he pitched more than 30 innings in the season since 2022. It's the first time he pitched 100 innings in the season since 2019. And what did he do? He posted a 2.97 ERA. Part of my ranking, I think I had him 8th. So I had one spot up. Part of my ranking with deGrom was, that's what he looks like off a year he had Tommy John and hasn't pitched more than 100 innings in 3 seasons. Imagine what he's going to look like after he has that full season under his belt. I expect deGrom to be a Cy Young contender this year, especially if Skubal gets traded. That Cy Young in the AL goes wide open. So for me, that was the biggest thing. I think he's well-deserved at that ranking. At the end of the day, if you ask me with my life on the line, if I'm taking Jacob deGrom on the mound, I'm going to pick him over every other pitcher that we've discussed so far. That is without a doubt. The question is, how many more pitchers above him will I have that conversation about? And that, I think, is the magic question.
How many guys, I'm curious, how many guys that we've discussed would you take for a full season over Jacob deGrom?
At the moment, for a full season over deGrom, nobody. I wouldn't. Knowing what I know going into next year, nobody. I don't have anybody that I would take over him going into this season.
I had him 10, so I'm not really saying he should be that much lower. He has the highest ceiling probably of all the pitchers that we've discussed, but he's, like you said, he's the first healthy season since 2019. Yep. So let's. I hope he can repeat because he is a likable guy, and it'd be cool to see him kind of thrive again down in Texas.
Yeah.
Keith, where you at with the set?
Oh, go ahead, Corey. I'll pop in after Corey. Go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds good. I was just say I kind of like the spot for Freddie Peralta here, because I'd have to see his numbers last year again this year to warrant the jump into the top 10. But he's a really good pitcher. I mean, you look at the last 3 seasons, he's had 200 plus Ks each of the last 3. So you love to see that. I think the thing with Peralta, bring the walks down a little bit because you get a couple guys on base that could inflate a couple of numbers, ERA, WHIP. But he's a good strikeout pitcher, and this is his first year in New York. I think if he comes out and replicates what he did last year, this year with the Mets, he's going to be a top 8 pitcher next year on this list. But I have to see it a second time in a row to warrant the jump to the top 10. But I like the spot 11th overall. Considering where the Mets were a month ago, I'll gladly take the 11th overall pitcher on our team.
Also, can I just say, we're going to be missing a big name off this list, and I'm curious which one it's going to be because I'm doing the math here. We're
gonna get into it shortly.
I had that big name 20th, Joe.
Keith, your comments on this real quick, and then we'll move forward.
This was somewhat similar to my list. It was somewhat chalk, so I'm not really against any of these rankings. I just want to point out these two of these guys made my personal top 10. Freddie Peralta, I hit him, I think exactly 11 or 12, I believe, which I just want to point out some positives because these are 3 guys that seized opportunities and they ran with them. Jacob deGrom, the team sucked last year. We could have just given deGrom some rest, right? Who cares, right? You know, like he has injury history. But no, Jacob deGrom said, I'm going to be Jacob deGrom and I'm going to be an ace and I'm going to pitch the best I can. So that's the cool thing about Jake. And very happy for him. Huge Jake fan. Brian Wu, that rotation is supposed to be the best rotation in the American League, and it actually wasn't. It took a little bit of a step back. There were some injuries. Some guys regressed a little bit. Guess what? Brian Wu sneaks past everybody, kind of like Jake did in his time with the Mets. So I want to give Brian Wu a lot of credit. He was sensational. One of the best quality starts pitchers in the American League. And Freddie Peralta, for a guy who was pitching behind one of the best pitchers in the National League, Corbin Burns, for a few years, takes the reins of the workhorse, the head of the rotation, and he finds himself with a brand new team this year, looking for a brand new challenge, and I'm really, really happy he's with us. But he's earned that opportunity. He wouldn't be a New York Met if he hadn't pitched like a horse in Milwaukee. So these are all really good options here in this slot.
120 people in the building. Shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And Keith, you had a Peralta 12, Wu 9, and deGrom 8 on your personal list. So right around the same territory and actually kind of in the same order of where they were. So, all righty. Let's move it on to now the number 8 to number 6. Corey, back to you, buddy.
Let's do it. And over here at number 8 is a guy that the New York Lights did not phase. Max Fried came in to the Bronx and did exactly what you could have asked for, maybe even more. I remember we were doing the Bulls and Bears. He had a nice run in the middle of the year where he really shot up that Bull list. And then cooled off a little bit, but then got right back on track. So Max Fried, number 8. Again, he wasn't in our top 10 last year, but he is in the top 10 this year. Logan Webb, really interesting arm here. I like Logan Webb. I think he's a type of guy. He's a bulldog. He's a guy that is going to go out there, give you a great quality start. I mentioned Fred Valdez being top 3 in quality starts in the last 4 years. Logan Webb is number 1 on that list since 2022, number 1 with quality starts. Again, just a really good pitcher to have out there, underrated in my opinion. And Hunter Brown, again, making his debut to our top list, number 6th overall. Interesting, path here for Hunter Brown. I know back when he was in his full rookie season back in 2023, a lot of people, including myself, in the season predictions that year, had him as the early rookie of the year candidate, breakout candidate, and he struggled. 5.09 ERA his first year. But you look at the last 2, dropped it to 3.49. Last year, dropped it to 2.43. And was an all-star last year. The future is bright for Hunter Brown, and I think he's well deserving of a top 10 spot.
He's a really good pick.
Jacob really said Logan Webb is a 2026 Seth Lugo. I don't think so at all. Logan Webb is a fantastic, arguably top 5.
Logan Webb's led the league in innings pitched. That's 3 seasons, Jacob.
Listen, we know that there's some people in this chat that drink paint thinner. So let's just be honest.
That is a crazy take. Holy shit.
Tom, Max Fried in number 8 position, though. What do you think?
I think I had him 6, so I wasn't that far off. He would probably be top 5 if he didn't get that blister situation in the middle of the summer last year. He was so consistent for the Yankees last year of giving innings, again, not just giving you the 6th quality start. He was going into the 7th, going into the 8th at times. I was so impressed with him last year, and again, I had him a little bit higher, but I think that's fair. Webb and Hunter Brown. I had Brown. Let's see. I had Brown 8. So again, I kind of basically just switched those two guys. I'm not going to argue either way. I had Webb 11. So I have all these guys around where we have them ranked. I think they're all good quality pitchers. Hunter Brown, definitely someone who has the most opportunity to jump into the top 5, being younger, coming into the next year. But yeah, we're at the point now where these are all just good ace level pitchers. I know we had some debate over that. Who's an ace, who's not an ace. I think these are aces.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Hunter Brown 6, so that's exactly where I had him. I had Logan Webb 9 after Jacob deGrom, and Chris Sale split in just one slot above Max Fried. So Sale was my 10, Fried was my 11. So I mean, we're splitting hairs between all of these guys.
You had Max Fried 11.
I had Max Fried 11. I had Sale 10, Webb 9, and deGrom 8. That was my top. That was how that order. I had a Hunter Brown 6. I'm curious where the guy that I had at 7, if he's on this list, 7 and 5, because we're out of space. And one of those guys is going to get left off. So that was my list. Listen, I can't complain about either one. Max Fried was great for the Yankees last year. Logan Webb obviously leads the league in multiple categories, including strikeouts and innings pitched last season. He plays in a really tough division. Hunter Brown has the ability to be a Cy Young. I think Hunter Brown would even be above a few names on this list who I think are going to be there if he repeats the performance that he had last year. He was in that Cy Young conversation, and I think he has a really bright future. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this year. If he could repeat off of last year, he gets himself into that upper echelon of the aces.
Joe, the chat's really asking, and I gotta do this for the chat. Where did you have Seth Lugo in your list? I know he wasn't in your top 20.
So where
do you have Seth Lugo now?
We ranked 25. He was not in the 25.
Confirm he did not get a vote.
Overplayed joke at this point in the Seth Lugo
thing.
Like, we get it. We get it, guys.
It's the worst. It's the worst running joke there is.
It's the most overplayed dumb joke ever.
No one's even laughing.
So shout out to you guys. All righty, we're gonna move on to the next part of this. We're gonna start breaking this down by 2 each. So our next part of the rankings is 5 and 4. We're gonna get right to 5 and 4 here. Our number 5 and 4 have something similar. 2 left-handed starting pitchers, one of the Philadelphia Phillies in Christopher Sanchez. Quite the jump considering he wasn't in the rankings last year. And yes, we did do 10. Garrett Crochet was in the back end of the top 10. He was 10 in 2025 entering the season. He goes up 6+ spots for Garrett Crochet, and who can blame him? Garrett Crochet had a phenomenal 2025 that he took right into the playoffs with him in that one start against the New York Yankees. Corey Favs, if we really want to turn back the clock last year to maybe why Garrett Crochet, of all people, was that low at the number 10 spot. Well, the Garrett Crochet that we've seen for years was in the back end of the bullpen for the White Sox. We didn't know what kind of Garrett Crochet was going to come out of the mix. And yes, he did have the one season in the rotation with Chicago. We just did not know how that was going to translate in a big way. Crochet at the number 4 spot.
Yeah, and listen, I'm happy he's up here too, because when we go back to last season, I actually had him as my gamble to win the Cy Young when we did the 2025 predictions. If it wasn't for School Bowl, he would have had the AL Cy Young. So that was the thing with Crochet. You always knew he had the stuff, but the White Sox are just such a trash, terrible, miserable franchise that they didn't know what they were doing with them. Is he a reliever? Is he a starter? Is he a closer? Is he a long relief man? Is he a starter? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The Red Sox went in. They had a plan. He's going to be our ace, and he was exactly that. He was an ace. He was the 4th best pitcher on our list. He has the potential to be top 3. We'll see what happens, but I love the spot for Crochet. The sky's the limit for him.
Man,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know exactly what you did. You know exactly what you did.
I know what I did, but I feel like I could justify what I did.
All right, well, we'll get into it shortly. Keith, your thoughts here with Sanchez and Crochet at 5-4.
Sanchez had a great season. Crochet, I really think is one of the premier pitchers in the American League. He did last year. I actually think he's too low on the. He needs to be one spot up. He needs to be a third spot. That's just my opinion. His season last year led the league in innings pitched, strikeouts, batters faced. He led the league in strikeouts per 9 last year. I mean, this is a guy who led the league in multiple categories. And if it wasn't for the man who's probably number 1 on this list, he would have won the Cy Young last year. So for me, he is one of the elite pitchers, and he's just getting started. I think he is at the point where he's going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball for the next 5 years.
Keith, what do you think?
Let's try Keith now.
That's okay. First off, as a New York Met, I want to give flowers to Christopher Sanchez. The leap, it's extremely impressive for the young man. Luzardo was good, Suarez was good, but Sanchez was just better than both. With Wheeler not being able to finish the year with what he's got going on. So Christopher Sanchez, and he didn't get a lot of love from the actual national media. He wasn't an all-star. And there was a lot of push for people to get him Cy Young votes towards the end of the year. So I want to give him his respect. He's a tough pitcher. He's really good. He's earned that spot. Garrett Crochet, I mean, we're splitting hairs. I think 4 is too low. I agree with Joe. The doubts that the man had, just answering the bell and doing what he did. Without him, the Boston Red Sox no one cares about the Red Sox if Garrett Crochet is not on that team. I'm being totally honest. That's a solid, roster, but without Garrett Crochet, they're not touching they're not even sniffing October. So what he did in that uniform was sensational. Kind of gives me like vibes of when Chris Sale was there and dominating and stuff. So a lot of respect to Garrett Crochet. Even the guys before, I mean, splitting hairs, but right now, a lot of these guys have earned this honor, honestly.
We are.
Yeah,
in the top 3,
I'm just gonna say real quick. I had Crochet 3rd. I really had a hard time. I wanted to put him 2nd. I really did. It was very tough. But yeah, I think for what Crochet did, in that wild card round against the Yankees, I think that's what the top end of this list should be, is guys who can shove when it matters most.
Yeah.
Top 3 now. Corey, Favs, before we get to our number 1 spot, who cracked our number 3 and number 2? And I guess by that measure, we'll know who cracked number 1. But go ahead. 3 and 2. Corey, you're on mute.
I am on mute. There we go. Number 3 here. I'm a huge fan of this guy. And that is Mr. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I mean, you look at he had a great regular season, and then the postseason came, and he went to another level. And for me, personally, I had him really high on my list, and it's because of the postseason form. That's really what gave him the leap in my eyes. I mean, in the biggest stage, it doesn't get bigger than the World Series. That is the biggest stage. He had a 1.02 ERA in 17 innings pitched. In the NLCS, which is the second biggest stage, he had a complete game with 1 run given up. This guy absolutely delivered. And in the regular season, he was actually the MLB hits per 9 innings leader. Out of every starter in baseball, the hits per 9 leader. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has become an absolute weapon for that Dodgers rotation. He is every bit worth that contract the Dodgers gave him 2 years ago. I know when he started out, is he going to live up to that hype? He has lived up to the hype and has exceeded it so far. Number 2 in our list, and there could be a case to make him number 1 as well, Paul Skeens. I mean, we're really splitting hairs here now with the top 4 guys. There's so many different combinations we can go with them. Paul Skeens, the absolute young phenom, another guy who's just absolutely lived up to the hype and more. I could definitely see him being the number 1. We'll see what happens, how this year unfolds. But sometimes you get those top prospects, they don't deliver. This guy has exceeded it as a top prospect. So the young Pirate, number 2, he was actually number 4 last year for us, which is high praise considering he's so young. Made it to 4th overall last year. He continues to climb up to 2.
Keith, let me throw this to you because interesting enough, and you mentioned this earlier on Shea and Sons, you had Yamamoto in the 5 spot. So is this a little bit of a reach for us to have him here in the number 3 spot?
No. I think anywhere in the top 5 personally is fine. The reason why I had him 5th is because in Major League Baseball, I know what he did last year was sensational. And I think it's very, very, very hard to do what he did last year. I put at 4, I'm a big Logan Webb guy. So I had Logan Webb a lot higher than most because Logan Webb has like 4 years of just being incredible. Quality start. So that was really it. I mean, in any other list, I probably could have even put Yamamoto ahead of Logan Webb. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm a little, if Yamamoto could repeat that one more year, I think Yamamoto earns that slot. That was just a personal preference. But what he did in the postseason should never be ignored. He was a sensational pitcher. I've always been a fan of his prior to even him being a Dodger. It sucks he is a Dodger. I would have loved for him to be on one of the New York teams, mainly mine, but it is what it is. As for number 2, to me, that's the LeBron James of baseball. He got given all the pressure before he stepped foot on a major league mound, and he's answering every single call. I have nothing else to say about Paul Skeens.
I'll reveal my hand here. I had Yamamoto number 1. I had him in my number 1 spot
that's wild.
Because what he did in the play, Joe, you more than anyone talk about an ace. And what does an ace mean? How does you show up for your team? And listen, what Yamamoto did in the World Series is we might never see that again. And what we saw from the number 1 guy. And we'll get to the number 1 guy. We saw him go 6 innings in an elimination game and have 99 pitches and say, "Guys, I'm tired. I want to get out of the game." That's not that. I'm sorry. And Scooble's incredible, but what Yamamoto did in the playoffs last year, and he had a really good regular season as well. As Corey mentioned, best hits per 9. In Major League Baseball, it's not like this guy was a middling starter. I think what he did in the World Series and in the playoffs in general is everything we talk about when we talk about aces. When we talk about the aces of old. And I'll be honest, I don't see Scooble doing that. I see Scooble. The most pitches he threw I had to look up. The most pitches he had thrown in a game last year was 107. He threw over 100 pitches like 3 or 4 times. Like he's great. He is like a super A+ version of Blake Snell.
In all fairness,
there you go.
You're better off with the power out. We were better off with the power out.
Give me listen. I don't want my ace to have 99 pitches in an elimination game and take himself out. He took himself out, and then lost because of it.
Taking me out,
Tom. It wasn't consequential to the result of the game.
Yes, it was. They lost.
They lost in 15 innings, Tom.
Sure, but they took him out and they scored the next inning.
Tom, he struck out 13 batters in 6 innings.
Keep pitching.
Tom, what do you do in the wild card? He threw 7 2/3, gave up 3 hits, and struck out 14.
And with the season on the line, he said, "Guys, I'm good.
Tom,
I'm
come
good."
on. But the result wasn't consequential of what Scooble did. They wouldn't have been in the game if it wasn't for him. They didn't hit, Tom.
Yeah.
What'd you call him again?
Back.
For
the record, I had Scooble number 2 on my list. I didn't have him like 7. But
where'd you rank Blake Snell, bro? That's what I want to know. Where the fuck you rank Blake Snell? Because that's what I want to know.
I get.
I'm maybe being a little hyperbolic by calling him like a A+ version of Blake Snell. My point is, I like Yamamoto. The impression he left at the end of the season was like, "Give me the ball. I don't care." Well, Yamamoto would still be pitching right now if that game was still going on. He'd be like, "What? I don't care. My arm could fall.
We agree,
I'll throw
Tom.
left-handed if I need to."
I agree, Tom. He had an all-time postseason run in the World Series, the likes of which we haven't seen since Madison Bumgarner. I completely agree with you. I 100% agree with that. However, it's not like his numbers overall are better than Skeens or Scooble. You cannot put him above those 2 guys when they're in
Skeens pitching a game that matters.
Tom,
it's not his fault, but I'm just saying. I need to see him
Tom,
pitch
what are
in
you
a game that
talking
matters.
about? Skeens is yes, Skeens has to pitch in a game that matters. But Scubo's pitched in 6 playoff games. He's got 2 ERA flat in 6 playoff games.
I had Scooble second. I'm just saying. What Scooble?
Yes.
Scooble taking himself. I had Yamamoto 1, and I felt so good about putting Yamamoto 1.
I got a question.
But
I got a
he's
question.
got to do it. He's got to do it for a full season. You're talking about a guy in Scuba who's got 2 ERA titles in a row. He struck out 241 batters last year.
He had a down season. He went from a 1.96 ERA to a 1.97. Fuck.
Guys, I had him 2. I didn't have him 9th.
I got a question.
I'm just telling you.
I gotta hear your answer to this. I have to. In 2014, we saw that incredible Madison Bumgarner postseason run. We all remember it, right? At any point, if we had ESB back then, would you put Madison Bumgarner like over Kershaw, who was the Cy Young Award winner
I don't
back
even think
then?
he was a top 5 pitcher then.
No, but Bumgarner was what 30. He was a lot older when he did that.
Well, that year he had Cy Young votes. He was
part of what Bumgarner did was he also hit, which made that also more impressive to go on top.
I will tell you this.
But remember, Kershaw was at that time. Kershaw was not a very good postseason
Bumgarner
pitcher.
was not a better pitcher than Kershaw.
Correct. No, that I know, but I'm trying to figure out where he's aligning the two.
In a live or die game with my life on the line, I am taking Madison Bumgarner over every pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball in the World Series. Madison Bumgarner has a .36 ERA in the World Series.
But you would have put him number 1 in your rankings, right?
There is no one better. He is not the best pitcher in the history of baseball. He is the best pitcher,
or at any point in the season.
Correct. He's the best pitcher with your life on the line in the history of baseball. There's a difference. Okay? It doesn't mean I'm taking him over 162 over the other guys.
Right.
All right. Let's get back to it. We're going to wrap this thing up finally with numero uno, our number 1, which should be a surprise at this point.
Let's go.
Cover all this. It's Tara Skubal. Tara Skubal is number 1. He repeats again in our number 1 spot here. So congratulations to Tara Skubal, the two-time Cy Young Award winner. Now, we're going to look at the voting across the board here. But again, the only 2 folks that didn't have Skubal in the number 1 spot is Tom at Yamamoto. That's a whole other story for another time. But Keith, you have Paul Skeens in the number 1 spot over Skubal here. It's just more, you got the younger arm with bigger upside. Like, what do you got?
At any point, Paul Skeens can have an average year, right, for him, and it'll be a career year for others, right? But Paul Skeens is getting better, right? And I'm not trying to take anything away from Tariq Skubal. Tariq Skubal is my favorite pitcher. But Paul Skeens, I made this analogy earlier. Paul Skeens has been given the LeBron role of baseball. He was crowned a god before he even stepped foot into the major leagues. And he's getting better. His team fucking sucks. And I've seen this story before in Queens, right? You know, Joe Pugliese understands where I'm coming from. And so does Corey Favs. And this is another level where this guy's going. This is not saying he's better than Tariq Skubal, truly. This was just like I had to honor what he did because I didn't think he could do it again. I really did. I felt that way. And he was ranked 4th on your guys' list, right? So now he goes up 2 slots. That's kind of how I felt, honestly. I probably, in similar range. But Tariq Skubal, he deserves to be the champion this year again because of just back-to-back Cy Youngs. He almost did the Triple Crown again. You know what I'm saying? The guy's incredible. You could flip-flop between these 2, honestly, but I'm not mad at it. He's my favorite pitcher in baseball to watch. If I'm going to sit down and watch a game, I'm going to watch Tariq Skubal. But I just the way I view what Paul Skeens, the role he has to play in a sport that is continuing to grow, Paul Skeens is doing something that, not many pitchers are able to do, respectfully, at his age, too. But it doesn't, 1 or 2 is fine, honestly. Between these 2, you're splitting hairs, kind of like what you guys said earlier.
I know we've gone overtime with this here, but this is the biggest reason why I was looking forward to this, the individual rankings. So here we go for the first time. And remember, Sierra's included in this. She wasn't able to join us today. Shout out to our girl, Sierra Hopal as well, my friend. But this is our personal top 20 rankings across the board. So I know it's a little pinched in, but with a full screen, I think you guys can kind of make out the players in there. There you see, Tom's at Yamamoto at the top, KEEF, Skeens at the top, Scooble across the board. But Joe, the one player I have to point out here,
Guys,
only you and Corey Favs have Zach Wheeler in your top 20, despite the fact of what happened at the end of 2025 and not knowing what's going to come in 2026.
I don't understand how. They said he's going to be ready in April. He's going to miss opening day, but the report is literally not by much. And we're talking about a guy who should be a top 5 pitcher in the sport if he's healthy. And we have Carlos Rodon on. Everybody's got Carlos Rodon on this list. Wheeler's better than Carlos Rodon, and he's going to be back. He's going to be back pitching before Carlos Rodon.
I don't have Rodon on my list.
I'm just saying, just in general. But so how do we have Wheeler outside of the top 20 when he's healthy? One of the top 5 pitchers in baseball without a question in my mind. And he's not even gonna miss a month of the season.
Maybe.
You don't know that.
It's a scary injury, especially when you're thinking with shoulders, because shoulders are like the kiss of death with pitchers.
It's a blood clot, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he had thoracic outlet, but he's not getting the rib removal surgery like Harvey and Steven Strasburg did. He has the better case of it. Kelly got.
Yeah, he's got the better case of it. I mean, I still threw, and kind of what Keith was saying before about being a little cautious with injuries. I tended to follow the same. I did throw Wheeler a bone with the top 15 pick because of that potential. I mean, he's a top 5 pitcher on this list when he's healthy for a full season. So I did throw him the bone. I actually gave Cole a bone too, but just outside my top 20 because he'll be back a little later than Wheeler. And it's a tough injury. I mean, shoulder injuries could be the kiss of death. It does sound like he's making good progress, and it sounds like he won't miss too much time, which is good news for Phillies fans. But we'll see what happens. Again, like I said, I threw him a bone, but it's a scary injury, so I tried to err with caution. With guys coming off a big injury.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, if you told me that Zach Wheeler will be pitching by April 25th, I would easily have him in my top 10. I just think it's unclear. I know there's it sounds like he's on pace, and I hope I hope he is on pace. I didn't feel comfortable putting him in again. The same reason why I didn't have Carlos Rodon on my list. I mean, Garrett Cole was different because Cole's going to miss probably at least half the season. But that was my reasoning for not having him on there, honestly.
I held off on pitchers that were going to start the year off hurt because we've gone down that slippery slope in the past where we didn't do that, where we were going. And look, we have Carlos Rodon on our list. I didn't have him in my personal top 20. I wanted to ensure that the 20 I had were guys going into the season healthy. That was my biggest thing. I'm curious, Tom. Throwing Ohtani a bone at number 20 as a starting pitcher.
Where the list falls apart, Tom. Come on.
I'm at 20. I mean, what's the issue of having Ohtani at 20?
I have to ask Tom. Cole Ragans over Brian Wu?
Cole Ragans.
Yeah. I'll be honest. That was probably a little high. I'll own that. He was really good. He was really good too.
We also figured out why Hunter Green was so high.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that as well. Cole Ragans was really good 2 years ago. Had some injury issues last year. He should be healthy to start the season this year. That's a bit of a flyer pick. I think he's a higher ceiling guy. But I mean, I'm not dying on the Cole Ragans.
I got to make this point, and I love my man Corey Favs. Nolan McLean, top 20 starting pitcher entering the season.
I'm going to tell you exactly why.
8 starts.
I know. And I'm going to tell you why. And again, if you're looking at just 2025, obviously he's nowhere close to it. It's only 8 starts. Those 8 starts were great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was 5-1 with a 2.06 ERA. If it wasn't for Nolan McLean, the Mets wouldn't have even sniffed that last weekend of the season. Again, all great. Doesn't warrant top 20 if you're just looking at 2025. Nolan McLean in a couple of weeks' time, unless something major happens between now and next month, we're going to be doing a 2026 prediction. So Nolan McLean is going to be my NL Rookie of the Year prediction. I think Nolan McLean is going to have a full season right around a 3 ERA, if not just under. So a National League Rookie of the Year, I threw him a bone at 20th overall. I'll take that gamble over guys that, are okay. If I'm going to take a gamble at the back end of a list, I'm taking my Rookie of the Year as that guy.
Yo, time out. I don't even think we realized this. Tom had Logan Gilbert 5th.
I see it. I see it.
It's a high ceiling. It was a high ceiling move. Again, I'm not going to die on that hill.
But wait a
That is a high
second. You have
ceiling
Schemes 4th.
Yeah,
I did have Skeens 4.
He's just worse than Skeens.
Okay. Now again, I'll own this. Gilbert probably
Good
too
Lord.
high. Did I rush this rankings before I was going on vacation? Yes, I did.
Come on.
But here's my
That's a good out. That's a
my-
good
my-
out. I like that out.
It's true. Now listen, I will die on the hill though that Yamamoto and Scooble and Crochet have shown up in the playoffs, even though Scooble did take himself out early. And it's not Schemes' fault that he hasn't been there, but I think that is a separating factor of guys who absolutely put their team on their backs in the postseason. It's not Schemes' fault.
Nasty work.
Is Gilbert too
Wild
high?
comment.
Probably is. But
Yo, no love
Let's
for
have
Nick
fun. Let's have
Pavetta.
fun,
Only
guys.
2 votes for Nick Pavetta. You guys,
Vote for Nick
I see
Pivetta.
Dylan
Adam-
Cease.
Just missed our cusp. I think
I
he
had
was
to-
right
Dylan
on the
Cease
cusp.
votes, but no Nick Pavetta. Big Pavetta's pretty
Of course,
good.
C's got Cease at number 12, so that explains why Cease
Yo,
was.
yo,
as high as he was.
you guys, this guy sucks, guys. I'm telling you, this guy fucking sucks. How? I don't get it. I think Dylan Cease fucking sucks. I'm sorry. I just think
There you go. So that's it. Your top 20 player rankings. We'll give it one more look for all time's sake. Blake Snell,
Need the
Ranger
guys
Suarez,
online
Framber
to
Valdez,
screenshot
Carlos Rodon, Dylan Cease, Hunter Green, Logan Gilbert, Joe Ryan, Chris Sale, Freddie Peralta, Brian Weaver, Jacob DeGrom, Max Reed, Logan Webb, Hunter Brown, Christopher Sanchez, Garrett Crochet, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Paul Skeens, and Tarek Skubal. And this is how it broke up. Tom, what a job, buddy, before you hit vacation. Maybe next time we take that on the plane and give it some thought. I don't know. Just saying. But there's your player rankings.